How does it feel making an espresso using an electric bike pump? It actually feels pretty good. But, to be honest, at the beginning I've struggled a bit. This is my adventure with Maespresso 58, a portable semi-automatic espresso machine created by Maestri House. This video is not sponsored by them, so I can provide to you an honest review without any bias. In the box you can find all the pieces. The stand with a nice silicone mat, the main body or the group head with the pressure gauge, the air valve, the tamper mat, the tamper, the portafilter with a really nice WD tool inside, and the thermal pack screen with metal filters and O-rings. Now let's quickly assemble it. Okay, for the portafilter, unscrew the base, place O-ring and metal filter, and you have two of them in the box with two different mesh sizes. Screw the base back on, and now the portafilter is ready. On the inside you can see the O-ring popping a bit out. That doesn't bother me much when I'm making the espresso, but it does bother me a bit when I go to remove the coffee before making another shot, because some ground coffee can remain stuck in between. Now, regarding warming up the portafilter, I have to say that if you're brewing dark roast coffee, you might not need to warm it up. Just use hot water close to boiling point and brew your espresso. I'm sure you will be fine. But if you're brewing light roast coffee, I suggest to warm up the portafilter so that it won't absorb a lot of heat from the brewing water. Just remember to dry the portafilter very well before placing the ground coffee. Now let's place the coffee inside and use the WD tool to distribute the coffee. And now we are ready to tamp. The tamper is very nice. It's a good quality tamper and it fits perfectly in the portafilter. So when you press, you have less risk of making mistakes to tamp unevenly. But here there is a problem. Because of the depth of the portafilter, when I go to pull out the tamper, sometimes it creates suction and it breaks the pack, lifting it on the side. And this is very annoying because it's hard to fix. You risk to have channeling and also waste coffee and time. So make sure you are extra careful when you pull out the tamper from the portafilter. After tamping, it's time to place the water reservoir and add hot water. I wish the reservoir was a bit taller because if I brew light roast coffee, I usually go for a long yield to make sure I balance the extraction. And sometimes I don't have enough water to do that, even when I fill it completely. But if you brew dark roast coffee, you won't have this problem. Anyway, I suggest to fill it completely, so you are sure that you won't run out of water. After that, carefully engage the portafilter to the main body, and now we are ready to brew our espresso. If you give a look at the air valve, you see that there are two attachments. One is for the electric bike pump, and the other one is for the CO2 cartridge. I have tested both ways. If you're using the CO2 cartridge, make sure you're getting the one with the threading so you can attach it into the air valve. I'm using a 16 grams cartridge, and with that I managed to pull around 15 espresso shots. When you insert the cartridge, you will see the pressure gauge level going up around 1000 psi and then slowly going down as the cartridge is emptying, so you can take track of how much gas you still have inside. But you also need to know that once you plug the cartridge, the gas level will reduce slowly after a few days, even if you don't use the machine. But anyway, the experience with the cartridge is very nice, smooth and without big efforts. You open the valve until it reaches the pressure you desire. You can open straight to 9 bar or even less if you want. You can run a soft infusion at the beginning if you like. You can play a lot with it and it makes it very fun. I managed to achieve really good shot of espresso with it. Then remember to close the cartridge valve, and to stop the shot you need to press the release valve placed on the other side, so you can safely remove the portafilter. The only particular thing I noticed in the espresso when I was using the CO2 cartridge is the slightly different taste compared to when I used the electric pump. Sometimes it feels like you are drinking a degust espresso tonic. You get that zingy, sparkling, slightly bitter taste on your tongue. probably is because of CO2. The pressure injects some of the gas in the brewing water and gives this quality to the coffee. With some coffee, this characteristic was a bit stronger, like for example, when I was brewing a floral light roast espresso. With the dark roast, I feel it less or even nothing, because the dark roast already have like strong taste, and also it has its own bitterness due to the roast level. Also, brewing with the CO2 cartridge makes the experience noiseless compared to when you brew the coffee with the electric pump. And you will see this in a minute. But I have to say, I don't like to have so much cartridge wastage, so I focus more brewing with the electric bike pump. With the bike pump, is also easy to use. First, attach the pump to the air valve. Then you can program the pump with the bars you want to brew the coffee, and it stops automatically when it reaches that pressure. I found it more consistent compared to the cartridge, but of course gives you less possibility to profile the pressure. One way I like to brew the coffee is to set the pump at 1.5 or 2 bars to give a pre-infusion. Once the pump stops, I increase the pressure in between 7 and 9 bars, depending on the coffee. In that period, I give the possibility to the coffee to saturate and then push extraction, like a normal espresso. Once the pressure reaches the 9 bars, you see the pressure gradually dropping. What you can do is press again the pump to keep the pressure around 9, or you can get a profile similar to a lever espresso machine by letting the pressure drop. I found this way very efficient when you're brewing dark roast coffee, because it reduces the bitterness and also gives a nice mouthfeel and sweetness to the coffee. And as well as with the cartridge, you stop the coffee by pressing the release valve. So you can safely remove the portafilter. Now, the problem with the pump is the noise. That can ruin the experience a bit, especially if you like to brew your coffee in the morning quietly. The product itself is really well made, very solid and stable. I was actually impressed about the quality of the product. It's entirely made of metal, apart from gasket, O-ring, portafilter handle and the water reservoir. The whole unit weighs around 2 kilos and 300 grams. Regarding the cleaning, you can unscrew the portafilter and wash it easily. The only problem is that coffee fines can remain trapped in the mesh of the metal filter, and they are a bit annoying to be removed. You need some water pressure to push them out, but some of them can remain stuck. That, with the time, can lead to uneven extraction and leaking on the side of the portafilter because of the increased resistance from the filter. The Maespresso 58 is now live on Kickstarter. I will put a link in the description so you can check for more details if you want. The electric pump is not included, it's optional, but you can add it if you want. Okay, let's wrap up this video with some conclusions. I have to say that since the first brew, I was surprised about the quality of espresso I could actually achieve with my Maespresso 58. I never had major problems when I was dialing in my coffees. At the beginning, I found it a bit strange. I had to get used to it, but once you master the workflow, it's very fun to make coffee with this machine. Even if you need to be careful of a couple of things, like for example tamping or engaging the portafilter. But I like the fact it gives me the possibility to be totally in control of my coffee. And I also like the premium quality of the machine. I think it can be a good option if you're looking for a simple, small machine to make manual espresso at home. A bit less if you need it for traveling, because the unit weighs a bit, but if you travel with a car, it should be fine. Now I want to hear from you. Do you have any manual espresso machine? Do you like it? Do you think that Maespresso 58 can be a good option? Let me know by leaving a comment in the section below. Thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you in my next videos, and in the meantime I wish you a wonderful day and delicious coffee. Ciao!